Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the Utility Sports channel. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than we usually do. As a Jets fan myself and someone who's heavily invested in this selection here, we're going to be doing a first three-round mock draft for just the New York Jets, okay? So, obviously, this might not be necessarily the mock drafts that you're used to seeing on our channel. Don't worry, those will still be coming every Monday. We do have one coming out tomorrow. And this order you see right here might not be completely correct, like per se the Dolphins pick here from the Texans might be a little bit closer this way after their loss today, but that doesn't essentially matter because every team will have their pick in here, and then the computer's going to draft those selections. I will just be doing the Jet selections. So here, after what was a very, very interesting game today against the Las Vegas Raiders, and luckily avoided winning that game. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive as a Jets fan, but there's something a lot more important than one win here in the NFL at this point in Week 13, and that is Trevor Lawrence. That will be the selection here. But before I go into that, I just want to talk about the game today. We sent an 8-man blitz and ran a cover zero on what was the last play of the game, basically, and gave Henry Ruggs a 46-yard touchdown, essentially. Derek Carr made a wonderful throw, so props to the Raiders on that. They took advantage of that situation. But Adam Gase, Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, honestly, they got to be on their way out. I'm going to be completely honest. It's quite brutal having them as the head coach and defensive coordinator. We've been brutal on both sides of the ball. We score only on about 25% of our red zone trips, touchdowns, that is. And quite frankly, offensively, we just don't get anything going. Sam Darnold threw his first touchdown since Week 3 today, and he threw 2 to Jamison Crowder, so that was good. Ty Johnson had a really nice game, so shout out to him. I don't think he's going to be a long-term answer, though, so that won't really impact this mock here. But overall, the Jets, their future is in better hands now with that loss. I was really nervous. The Jaguars just did lose in overtime to the Minnesota Vikings as I'm recording this year. So if the Jets had won that game, which they were up with 9 seconds left, they would have been picking second. And the Jacksonville Jaguars probably would have gotten Trevor Lawrence. They're starting Mike Glennon right now. But luckily, and thank God for this, the New York Jets lost this game to the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, if they do win a game later and the Jaguars lose out, it would still flip to Jacksonville. This isn't a guarantee we're getting Trevor Lawrence, but it's just a slight extension of that. And at this point, Trevor Lawrence will be the selection here at 1. Okay, so we see Fields go, Sewell, Rousseau. Okay, so it's just kind of going. It's not necessarily, doesn't look like it's perfect based on who goes where. It doesn't look like the fits are exactly what they should be. But it's kind of interesting now to see where they have certain players going. We see ETN go. Okay, so that's a big deal to me because ETN was a player I would have been looking at here at 26, and Eric Stokes goes. Okay, so that's kind of tough. That puts us in an interesting spot because players that were on my big board here to target around 26 were obviously J.C. Horn. Travis Etienne was the guy I wanted, and Eric Stokes as well. Also, I was considering Wyatt Davis here. Interior O-line is something they need. The Jets really need badly. Obviously, the Kalichi Assembly signing 2 years ago didn't work out. Mekhi Becton's been playing great at left tackle, so now getting a guy to play inside to build that O-line, similar to what we had with Nick Mangold and DeBrickashaw Ferguson back when the Jets were really in the prime of what they had. Now looking at 26 here, there's a few different ways we could go. Obviously, we still have Quinnen Williams at this point. I do want to look positionally. Let's go look at what running backs are on the board. Najee Harris is a guy I kind of want to target here in the second round, possibly with Travis Etienne off the board, but I'm not there on really grabbing him at this point. Wide receiver, another position. I really like Terrace Marshall. I think that he could really be a good weapon. This is something we saw the Cincinnati Bengals do. They went out and took LSU QB Joe Burrow, came back and took Clemson wide receiver T. Higgins. Now we'd be reversing that, taking Clemson QB Trevor Lawrence and coming back with an LSU receiver and Terrace Marshall. Obviously, my assumption is I didn't see it, but yeah, Jamar Chase, okay, he went to Washington in this. That's a little interesting. Tight end, there is Freiermuth, but I don't really think that's going to be the position of need that they go for. Vera Tucker and Creed Humphrey are two guys I would look at in the second round. I think it's a little high. Oway's a guy I'm going to look at in a second. I think right now it's a little bit of a reach. Shaun Wade, he's a guy that's interesting to me. Also, Asante Samuel Jr., Darian Kendrick, obviously another Clemson weapon, or not weapon rather, but a piece. Safety, I've seen people mocking safety to the Jets. I don't really understand that. We have Ashton Davis. Marcus May is probably going to be around for long term. He had a really bad defensive hold today. That it's like bad because it wasn't a winning play, but it's kind of good because we don't want to win right now. I don't want to win right now. Obviously, the players want to win. I'm not questioning the players on that. But looking forward at this here now, we're looking at probably a wide receiver or linebacker there. There's nothing really here. I don't think Dylan Moses is quite a need. Let's actually go Terrace Marshall here. I think that's going to be the move. That's what I would prefer to do if I was the Jets GM, and we'll see what Joe Douglas actually does. I think Terrace Marshall makes a lot of sense here at this point, and that's where I'm going to go. Okay, so we see Oway go actually one pick right after. Barrett Tucker goes, Shaun Wade goes. Okay, that's a bummer. I was hoping Shaun Wade would fall with me taking the wide receiver. I didn't feel good about letting the wide receiver go in here to like Green Bay and Buffalo necessarily. Let's go back into the cornerback position. So Darian Kendrick, Asante Samuel Jr., two guys I'm really considering at this point. Interior O-line, though, is where I think I'm going to prioritize. Now, I know. Cornerback is a really big need. I understand. We brought in Pierre Desir. I ended up releasing him to let him go to Baltimore. Just didn't work out. Bless Austin's one of our two outside corners right now. Brian Poole, that's why I opted to not go Shaun Wade, is because of Poole. Both our slot corners wouldn't really fit the best. But at the same time, we do really need to improve our cornerback position. I think Wade would have been an improvement for sure. I'm also kind of bummed Elijah Vera Tucker went. I thought he was going to be an improvement there for sure. But I think at this point, we're going to go interior O-line, Creed Humphrey, beef up that middle of our interior offensive line. We see Freiermuth go and Kendrick goes. Okay. Leatherwood was still there on the board. I didn't really look at tackle too much. Would have been maybe interested in grabbing a right tackle there, but we do have a lot of money committed to George Fant. And a few others on that offensive line. And obviously, Becton's going to be a staple left tackle for years to come for us. All right, so we're seeing, okay, Olave goes. So there was quite a bit of a weight on receivers, actually, from when I had taken Terrace Marshall. So that's a little interesting to me. And remember here, we are just doing a 3-round mock. So we have 4 selections. In here, we went with Terrace Marshall. We went with Trevor Lawrence, obviously, and then Creed Humphrey, the start of the second round. Now here at the top of round 3, we're looking rather thin. I think halfback is a big need, and Najee Harris is still here. And that's something I'm really going to have to think about. He's an electric back, gives you a little bit of versatility in what he's able to do. His back cut ability is incredible. Just seeing some of the stuff he's been able to do this year. I believe, yesterday on Saturday, he had an insane cutback that ended up being a 20-yard touchdown run, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look at offensive tackle here really quick. I don't think that's going to be the position we look at really long-term, though. Edge is a need. Again here, now this is the issue with the New York Jets. At this point, I've taken Trevor Lawrence. That's a no-brainer. I took Terrace Marshall. We need a weapon for sure. Jamison Crowder's really been the only successful receiver. I do like Denzel Mims long-term. I think Denzel Mims is a good player. But I think that you really need another weapon piece. I think a number one type of guy. And I think Marshall has that potential. So that's why I valued that, which is kind of tough. I wanted Quincy Roche too. I was hoping he would fall to me, and also Basham. So we saw 2 of them go right in the back end of the second round right in front of us. Now at this point, I haven't addressed edge and I haven't addressed cornerback, and I'm aware of how bad we need those positions. I've been screaming for an edge rusher. I wanted Josh Allen, the edge for Jacksonville. I wanted him the year that we took Quinnen Williams. It's quite unfortunate because we've seen Josh Allen really emerge as one of the better pass rushers, young pass rushers in the league. And Quinnen Williams, he's been pretty good. He's a little up and down. And I just think interior D-line's a little easier to replace than an edge. We just don't really get the pressures that we need. But here at this point, it's really hard to not take Najee Harris. And I hope you guys understand that. In my perspective, we took LaMichael Pirine last year. He's okay. But just looking at the drop-off here between him You know, obviously a guy like Chuba Howard uh, is possible. I kind of like him as well. He would be a 4th-round selection. Obviously, this is only a 3-round mock. So it's kind of interesting, man. The cornerback and edge, I'd hate to go without addressing that. And this is also under the assumption that CJ Mosley does come and play next year, something he really hasn't done for us yet since we signed him. And now at this point, yeah, man, I'm going to go Najee Harris. He's a dynamic running back. He's going to give us what we need. We see Rondale Moore go right after. Interesting. Brevin Jordan goes. That would have been something in the 4th round I would have looked at, as well as getting an improvement at tight end. Okay, we see Jamie Newman go. Okay, interesting. Okay, so we're getting an interesting order here. Barmore goes. Okay, he kind of fell a little bit here. So it's kind of interesting to see also who the computer mocks. And here we are again with our final round 3 selection. This is our 5th pick. And Chuba Howard is still here. So I could have taken Chuba, but it's okay. We'll live and learn from that, I guess, for maybe another New York Jets mock coming up. And if you guys are new to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We do a lot of different videos on the NFL, also the NBA. We do a mock draft for the whole league, 1st round, every Monday. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're really growing fast, and we want you guys to be a part of it. We really appreciate our subscribers. We pretty much respond to almost every comment. And we're just really thankful for the support you guys have given us so far. We've grown really fast, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow it by the end of this year and moving into next year as well. And now, here we are at 89. I don't really like the edges on the board. Cornerback is something I could consider. There's not a lot out here, though, that I really am in love with, to be completely honest, based on where I'm at with my draft knowledge. Of course, I don't have all of these guys fully understood yet. I'm not going to lie to you guys about that. And some of these guys in the back end here, I need to do a little bit more film study on myself to confidently talk about them. We already addressed wide receiver, and this is interesting. Okay. So is there any other interior lineman in here? We could still use that to bulk up a little bit more. Man, edge seems like a big need, though. Edge and corner. Is there a safety out here? Okay, Bolden's out here. Interesting. Yeah, you know, I'm going to go Kerry Vincent Jr. We're going to take another LSU product here. I think that's going to be a quality pick, a guy who gives us a little bit of options when it comes to outside-inside coverage, a guy who can play man and zone a little bit. So I think that's going to probably conclude it here as we finish round 3. So at this point, we were able to grab Trevor Lawrence at pick 1, obviously. Thankful for the loss to the Raiders today. Then we were able to grab at 26 Terrace Marshall Jr. Obviously, this pick might move up or down. This pick did come from the Seattle Seahawks, who've been losing as of late. So this pick could move closer to 20 per se. And that would maybe put us in range of Travis Etienne, a player I'm really high on, really want to grab Etienne. But I'm happy with Terrace Marshall here. Okay, and they only show us the 1st round here, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, okay, so we can click here. And then we went back, grabbed Creed Humphrey, addressed that interior O-line. We need to bulk up a little bit in front of Trevor Lawrence. Mekhi Becton's a great building block, really gave us some flexibility there. And now, moving forward, that was our only 2nd round selection, of course. And then we had 2 round 3 selections. We grabbed Najee Harris at the top of the 3rd round. I really like that value. I think that he is a dynamic running back that gives us a little bit of both. The best of both worlds, as a power runner, as a guy who can make people miss, cut back option, a 1 cut back, and something that is going to be really valuable. He's got good speed. And I think here at pick 65, that's a really good grab for us. And then looking a little bit down here later, Kerry Vincent Jr., another good acquisition, fills a need for sure, something that the Jets really badly need. And remember here, through the first 5 picks, I still didn't grab an edge. I understand that's a need. Don't get me wrong. I've been screaming that from the rooftops for basically the last 4 years, essentially, that that's a need that the New York Jets need to go and address. It's just kind of hard to sometimes when at pick 1, you're going to have to take the franchise QB, and then your next pick doesn't come until 26, and the top, 3-4 edges are off the board. We saw Russo go 4 in this. We saw some of the other ones go higher. It kind of just puts the Jets in an interesting spot. If that pick moves up from Seattle a little bit, maybe they get a little bit more flexibility. Maybe they use that 2nd round pick to make a trade to move up and jump a team to grab one of the top 3 edge rushers. That would be something that I would consider as well. But of course, I'm not doing any trades in this one. So overall, I was able to grab a QB, running back, wide receiver, interior offensive lineman to bulk up in front of Trevor Lawrence, and a cornerback. I would have liked to spend more capital probably on the defense, but at this point it was kind of hard based on what I felt like was valuable based on the players. Remember, this is what I would do, not necessarily what I think the Jets will do. Besides Trevor Lawrence, I think that'll be very likely. And I think even Terrace Marshall Jr. in the first round is very likely for them. But at this point, that'll conclude our video. If you did like the content, make sure to subscribe if you are new, and also leave a comment letting us know what other teams you'd maybe like to see us do and who you'd have the New York Jets taking in this year's draft. All right, have a nice one, guys.